Us now in studio is Evan Bernstein, the New York Regional Director of the Anti-Defamation League. Evan, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, thank you.
Evan, we've been chatting as the story has been unfolding. Now, turns out that it's an American-Israeli teenager that's at least partly behind all of this. What's your reaction?
Our first reaction, I think, was relief that there's been some closure, at least on the majority of these bomb threats. I think that we as a collective Jewish community, and especially the ADL that had its own bomb threats, wanted some kind of information and wanted some closure. And the fact that FBI, works so closely with the Israeli police and law enforcement to come up with some kind of an answer to this, I think is very cathartic for a lot of people in the country.
Do you feel convinced that this is the real suspect, that this is the person responsible for all, if not most, of these threats?
Listen, we trust law enforcement, we trust Homeland Security, the FBI, the Israeli police. I think this is, it was a long, ongoing investigation. They contacted the ADL before this was announced earlier today. We knew about the arrest, and so we think that they've done a tremendous job, and they should be praised for, for their diligence.
Evan, what do you think his motive was?
It's hard to say what was in his heart or his mind. It's clearly the acts that he did were very detrimental to a lot of communities and created a lot of fear and chaos, and very, very difficult to know why he was doing it. I think it's only he knows that at this point.
Earlier, we spoke with a defense attorney, and he said that one of the possible defense that they could use, other than temporary insanity, is that his motive was to help the Jewish community, to bring awareness to anti-Semitism. Does it matter if his intentions were so-called honorable or good or pro-Jewish? Does it even matter? No,
to us, they're acts of hate. They're actually anti-Semitic acts. They're targeting Jewish centers and Jewish institutions. And to us, those kind of things are never a good thing. And, again, it created a lot of fear in these communities. And thank God the bomb threats were not real, but it's still, the impact is still being felt, and it's a huge challenge.
Was there any positive impact from this, at least in the regards of greater federal awareness of anti-Semitism?
Yeah, I think the one positive takeaway is a lot of institutions reevaluated their emergency systems and protocols, and that's something, especially now with Passover coming up, is so critical for Jewish institutions to be really diligent and make sure that their systems are at the highest level. And if one positive thing could come out of a really horrible thing, which is these bomb threats, it's hopefully the institutions really did look at their protocol and now are diligent and staying diligent. That's the key here, is not to ratchet back, but maintain that diligence.
Evan, separately, we still don't have any further information. No arrests have been made in the case of desecrating the cemeteries and the graveyards. It doesn't seem to be that this is linked in any way.
No, and there's a lot of hate crime, not only towards the Jewish community, but other minority groups, but certainly anti-Semitic hate crimes, especially here in New York, that have not gone unsolved. And I think, the bomb threats were very public and very, widely, publicized incidents. And there's a lot of other incidents that maybe have not necessarily gotten the same press, but are equally as impactful in the community and hurt equally as much. And I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done.
Do we have any progress in terms of the investigation regarding the desecrated graveyards?
We have not received any new information on that, to my knowledge.
And whilst I have you here, I want to get your reaction to the terrorist attack in London yesterday. What are your thoughts on that?
Just our thoughts are with the community there. We know that ISIS took responsibility. These are the kind of things, especially in New York, that we are always so aware of. We were here in Times Square, such public places, that it's so critical that there's diligence and that law enforcement is doing everything they can to prevent these things. We know they're doing that here in New York. And some things you just can't prevent. When someone decides to drive into groups of people, it's very, very hard. And our thoughts are with that community.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Evan Bernstein, the New York Regional Director of the Anti-Defamation League.